Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. GH spoilers. Holly's mess catches up to Sasha when Sidwell kidnaps her. General Hospital, GH, spoilers tease that Holly Sutton, Emma Sams, seems to create a mess wherever she goes. And that's especially true whenever she visits Port Charles. When we first caught up with Holly last month, she was romancing Jen Sidwell, Carlo Rhoda, conning the man for all he was worth. Holly's cover was blown during Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, and Jason Morgan's, Steve Burton, rescue of Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson. Holly ended up helping Anna and the rest escape, but she also managed to steal Sidwell's diamonds on her way out. Holly returned to Port Charles with the rest of the rescue team and is now looking for a buyer for the diamonds. Meanwhile, Sidwell has already murdered the pilot who flew Holly and the others from Africa back to Port Charles. If he isn't in Port Charles yet, he will be very soon. Jack Brennan, Charles Mazur, has already warned Anna and Jason, but it's really Holly that Sidwell wants the most. Those diamonds are invaluable apparently, and he wants them back, not to mention the revenge he has on his mind. But Holly has other things on her mind at the moment. As viewers know, Holly has been revealed as Sasha Corbin's, Sophia Matson, biological mother. Sasha and Holly had a long overdue family reunion, even though Sasha had cut Holly out of her life years ago. Sasha's romance with Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, led Holly to reveal that she is actually Robert Scorpio's, Tristan Rogers, daughter, and therefore she's also Cody's first cousin. Sasha was horrified and immediately went to Robert to have DNA tests done. Since the relationship between Holly and Sasha is quickly making the rounds in Port Charles, it's likely that Sidwell will find out as well. If he can't get to Holly herself, Sidwell could easily kidnap Sasha and demand the return of the diamonds for Sasha's safety. It seems unlikely that Sidwell would have any intention of keeping Sasha alive either way. Once again, Holly's action will put Port Charles under a dark cloud, and this time her own daughter may pay the price unless she can be rescued in time. What do you think? Were you surprised that Holly is actually Sasha's mother? Do you believe Holly's claim that Robert is Sasha's father? Will Sidwell kill Sasha in order to get his revenge? Anything can happen in Port Charles, so stay tuned to General Hospital, airing weekdays. In Port Charles, the tension was palpable as Sasha Gilmore walked through the halls of General Hospital, her heels clicking sharply on the polished floors. She'd just finished a therapy session, a necessary but grueling part of her recovery after months of battling her demons. She had barely settled into a routine when a storm from her past, one that she didn't even know existed, threatened to swallow her whole. Unbeknownst to Sasha, her life was about to take a terrifying turn, all because of a mess Holly Sutton had left behind during her time undercover. The setup. Holly had always been one of the best in the business, a spy with unparalleled skills. But even she had gotten in too deep, entangling herself with some dangerous people in an effort to take down Victor Cassadine. In one of her more covert missions, Holly had crossed paths with a sinister man named Damien Sidwell, a shadowy figure who thrived on power and revenge. Holly had double-crossed him, leading to his arrest in a high-stakes operation that brought down one of Victor's criminal enterprises. But Sidwell was not the kind of man to forget a betrayal, especially one that landed him in prison. Holly had gone on the run shortly after, escaping the consequences of her actions and leaving behind a trail of chaos. She thought she had buried her past, but Sidwell's network was vast, and he had long-reaching arms even from behind bars. Sasha in the crosshairs. Sasha had no clue she'd become a pawn in someone else's game. Her life was fragile, barely holding together after the devastating loss of her son and her battle with addiction. She had fought so hard to regain control, to reclaim her life and prove to everyone, including herself, that she was capable of moving forward. But Sidwell, now out of prison thanks to his high-powered connections, had set his sights on revenge. He was furious that Holly had vanished and slipped through his fingers once again. In a cruel twist of fate, Sidwell had confused Sasha for someone involved in Holly's mission. One mistaken identity later, and Sasha became his new target, a victim of Holly's unfinished business. Sidwell's informants in Port Charles had whispered the wrong name, leading him to believe Sasha had played a role in his downfall. And when Sidwell wanted payback, he didn't care about collateral damage. The kidnapping. It happened on a chilly autumn evening. Sasha had just left GH, her therapy session weighing heavily on her mind. She walked through the hospital parking lot, her thoughts consumed by the idea of finally finding peace in her life. But peace was far from what awaited her. As she reached for her car door, a pair of rough hands grabbed her from behind. Sasha's scream was stifled by a rag that quickly pressed against her face, and before she could fight back, darkness took over. When Sasha awoke, her head was pounding, her wrists tied to a chair in a dimly lit room. The air was thick with the smell of mold and something metallic. Blood, perhaps. Panic surged through her as she struggled against her restraints, but it was useless. She was trapped. The door creaked open, and in walked a man she had never seen before, Damien Sidwell. His presence was imposing, his eyes cold and calculating as he approached her. "You have no idea how much trouble you're in, do you?" He sneered, circling her like a predator with his prey. "You think you can double-cross me and just walk away? Holly Sutton's little protégé. You're going to pay for what she did." Sasha's heart raced. I don't know who you're talking about. I have nothing to do with this," she stammered, her voice shaking with terror. Sidwell laughed, a dark, humorless sound. "You expect me to believe that? You're just another pawn in Holly's game, and now you're going to help me find her. Or else." The fallout. As Sasha's disappearance was discovered, Port Charles was thrown into a frenzy. The first person to notice she was missing was Gladys, who had been trying to reach Sasha all evening, to no avail. Worried, she turned to Nana Reeves, who immediately sounded the alarm. Brando's death was still fresh in everyone's minds, and the last thing anyone wanted was for Sasha to be put in more danger. But this was no ordinary kidnapping. The clues were few and far between, and those who knew of Holly Sutton's past started piecing together the connection. Felicia Scorpio, one of Holly's closest friends, was the first to suspect that Holly's past had finally caught up with her in the worst way possible. She confided in Robert Scorpio, who had once been romantically involved with Holly, about her suspicions. "Sidwell is the kind of man who doesn't let things go," Felicia warned. "And if Holly's involved, that means Sasha's in way over her head." Robert immediately put a team together, knowing the stakes were high. Holly was still off the grid, unreachable, but he knew that Sidwell's wrath wouldn't end with Sasha. He had to find her before it was too late. Holly returns. As the search for Sasha had intensified, Holly finally resurfaced, her instincts telling her that something had gone horribly wrong. She had heard rumors about Sidwell being back in action, but she had no idea that her unfinished mission had dragged an innocent woman into the crossfire. Holly returned to Port Charles under the radar, seeking out Robert for help. "I never meant for this to happen," she admitted, guilt weighing heavily on her shoulders. "But if we don't act fast, Sidwell will kill Sasha just to send me a message." Together, Holly and Robert devised a plan to draw Sidwell out, using Holly as bait. It was risky, but Holly was willing to do whatever it took to save Sasha, even if it meant putting her own life on the line. As the clock ticked down, the pressure mounted. Would they be able to save Sasha in time? Or would Holly's mess leave yet another tragic mark on Port Charles? A high-stakes rescue. Sidwell underestimated Holly's resilience, and with Robert's help, they were able to locate Sasha's whereabouts. A dangerous confrontation unfolded, with Holly standing face to face with the man who had haunted her for so long. "This ends now, Sidwell," she said, her voice steady but filled with determination. As the authorities closed in, Sasha's life hung in the balance, her fate intertwined with Holly's past missteps. One thing was certain, no one in Port Charles would be the same after this.